Hello everyone and welcome back to another car profile where we're looking at the Nissan GTR Nismo GT3, but the 2013 car, the old car there. If you're not subscribed already, please do subscribe. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like as well. Now this car is front engine rear wheel drive, 6 gears, and you can see the horsepower and bot figures there. Unusually, different horsepower between low and medium speed in an old car. Very unusual that, but you can also see the weight there as well, 1,326 kilograms. Got a lot of horsepower, but a lot of weight to carry as well there. Now, in terms of this car, this is the car that was actually driven by the Gran Turismo creator, Kazunori Yamauchi, at the 2013 24 Hours of Nürburgring in the Schulze Motorsport livery. Now, believe it or not, this has a soft spot for me as well, because, of course, I did GT Academy 2013 in terms of the European final, and I could have driven this car myself if I had actually won that competition. This car ran out of fuel at the Grand Finals in 2018 in arguably one of the strongest teams ever in Gran Turismo history with Igor Fraga, TRL Lightning, with Mikhail Hazal and Akagi. We're jumping into the low-speed bop test here then in this car, and we're going to see what it's like in the low-speed section here in low-speed track. So the idea here is we've done 1 out lap, we do 10 fast laps. I'm showing you the fastest lap of those laps, but of course we look at Optimums as well. We are racing that Audi R8 LMS Evo down in the bottom right hand side. Already a 10th down there as we go through that first sector. That Audi R8, again, is very quick. I do mention this all the time. But we want to see where this old car stacks up against other old cars and as well as its counterpart, the newer version, the 2018 car. But we'll see what happens. We're going to head up towards this kink. I did suffer some understeer at this kink, if I'm honest with you. And I did crash a couple of times through there. Quite slow on this particular lap. Definitely have done it quicker throughout, which is why we also look at the optimum times. Heading towards the braking zone here at the corkscrew. This is a corner you can attack in this car. It was so weighty, it has so much weight, it just sits down. You do have to be careful, a bit of power oversteer. We are now nearly 4 tenths down on the Audi R8 LMS Evo as we head towards the final few corners. Trying to use all the camber here in this car as we head to the sharp left-hander. Now this car does suffer with some power oversteer, so I am going to short shift. Now short shift is great in this car in terms of traction. However, it's not very good if you short shift. It really needs to be at the top end of the revs of this car. We get towards the line then, 6.5 tenths down on the Audi R8 in the 21 zone, 21.8, and we'll have a look at where that fits in amongst all the other Group 3 cars here in Gran Turismo 7. So it's not in the top 10 there. You can see that right now. He has seen the previous car update, which was a big one because I talked about the Ferrari and also the high-speed track as well. We've had a big bop update again lately. They're just making minor changes now. I'm going to avoid doing more updated tests until those minor changes have actually settled a little bit more. We're talking 1, 2, 3 kilograms in some cases. This car, though, comes home in P29 there, 121.694 in the end. So in the 0.6s. It's with a lot of the older cars, but some of them do need updating, and I guess this is where it probably should sit if they are going to keep some of the older cars down at the bottom end, but it'd be nice if we got them more competitive. Even so, the 18 car is very similar to the 13 car in terms of styling, so I can see why this one is nerfed a little bit more. We go to the medium speed bot test then here at Suzuka. I love this circuit. Now going into turn 1, this car could handle turn 1 absolutely fine. All the weight is over that front end, of course. When you go on the brakes, the front tyres are planted into the floor, and actually you can trail brake really nicely around that first section. We go into the S's then, and the wheel spin of the rear actually helps a teeny tiny bit here going through the S's as we go towards this right-hander then. I'm looking to maintain around 80 miles an hour, which we just dropped underneath there. And what's our sector there? 33.8, nearly 3 tenths down on the Audi R8, so quite slow in the grand scheme of Group 3. Enjoyed turn 1, but it just struggles a teeny tiny bit there in the S's. Tidgney 1 was a big issue in this car. The bump, it really didn't like. It really took the weight in the air and just forced a lot of issues. So I did have to slow down a little bit more than normal for Tidgney 1. Tidgney 2 was fine, but we're down a little bit more than 5.5 tenths down on that Audi R8 LMS Evo as we come into the hairpin and slow corners where this car really struggles. Now, I stayed in second gear on this particular lap, which is lap 11. In other laps, I tried first gear out of there, and you'd hit the limiter quite quickly with a lot of wheel spin. So I just changed it up a little bit where I could just to see what was better and what worked well. Heading towards Spoon then, looking for the right side braking marker there as we come into here, and we accelerate out to come back in, and we're having to come off the throttle quite early there. Short shift to third gear to avoid any stability issues on exit, but remember what I said at Laguna, short shifting, while it's possible in this car and gives it quite a bit of grip, it really does suffer in terms of power loss. In terms of that, you really have to get to the top end of the rest. We're 8 temps down now in this car and going through 130R. That's one of the lowest apex speeds I've seen at all. It really does struggle in cornering this car. It really does as we come into the braking zone, then slowing the car down nicely. First gear, short shift to second, accelerate out, a whole load of oversteer there as we accelerate towards the line then. What are we going to be getting here? Is it going to be in the 59s is the question. Not quite. 2-minute dead there, but the Optimum, you can just see down at the bottom, a 59.9, and we all know that is very, very slow. Just how slow is it? Well, you're about to witness that because we've got cars in the 58s and they're only just in the 59 in this GTR. So we're going to be looking at the bottom end of the leaderboard, of course. That Audi R8 has been updated. The BMW M6s have been buffed, so I'm expecting them to jump to the top of this leaderboard, if I'm honest. It's only a minor buff, but the buff all the same, isn't it? We will see what happens here then. That's the top 20 for you. So we're going to be looking down into the top 30. So it's not even made it there. We're still 4 temps off here at the moment. 4 temps off P30. And some of these cars are big upgrades. The Ford GT race car in P30 has had a massive upgrade lately. And there it is, P39, nearly bottom. There are actually 41 cars, but unfortunately, the table hasn't updated yet. I will update those tables for you so you can show 41 cars, but it's near the bottom is essentially what I'm trying to say there. It felt awful to drive, if I'm honest. It felt like a bit of a chore to do that one, if I'm brutally there. Right, okay, high-speed bop test then. We're here at Bathurst then, Mount Panorama, as we go into turn 1. Now, in the Beat the Meta video I did of this car, I talked about the acceleration, and I'm going to talk about the acceleration again here. It's rapid in terms of that mid-speed acceleration. It just accelerates all the way up to 6th gear. In fact, so much so, look at that. We're nearly in the 18s. No car's ever been in the 18s. We very nearly got it there. We're 2 temps up on the BMW M6 GT3 car. That's how good it is at that mid-speed sort of acceleration. So around 80 miles an hour, all the way up to around 150. This car is superb. Coming to here, though, this is where the car suffers here. Bit of understeer. And I do feel this car understeers as well because of that acceleration. So remember in Gran Turismo 7, in terms of weight transfer, if a car accelerates, the front nose lifts. If it accelerates really well, it's essentially pulling a wheelie. So the tyres aren't in full contact to the floor. And therefore, you're not going to have as much grip because you've got less tyres touching the road. And I feel this car suffers with that. As we head down the mountain now, here we go. Look how much time we've lost. We were 2 temps up. We're now 5.5 down. So we've lost nearly 8 temps, essentially, in terms of time to that BMW. A little bit of an issue at the dipper there on this particular lap. But I can tell you now, I had some cracking dippers as well. Just this lap in particular. Now, short shift to 3rd gear. Better to short shift going downhill here because you'll quickly get into that power band. So it very much was beneficial to do that. But even so, that wheelie acceleration, I believe that's the issue with this car in terms of understeer. And it's something that I feel needs sorting out. Now, the top end of this car, also an issue with 1.1 seconds out. My word, that's slow. If you look down at that speedo, 167, 168, that's definitely towards the bottom end of speed. So the acceleration on this car is absolutely superb. But the top end, the actual cornering ability is shocking. The second you go on the throttle, it understeers for days. And it's because of that power, in my opinion. It really is. As we come down in towards the final corner, we're going to accelerate out of here as quick as we can. Quite stable there. And head towards the line. What kind of lap time is this going to be then? It's a 202.8. 1.2 seconds down on that BMW M6. And the Optimum down at 202.4. We'll see if that improves then on the final lap by checking out the leaderboard right now then. So it's not going to be in the top 10. Of course, it's not. You did miss the Ferrari update, the new Ferrari update there. It's P10 right now. It's pretty impressive stuff there by that Ferrari 458 Italia. I have also mentioned in the previous video the bot track for the high-speed bot track, that's what I'm trying to say, is going to change. It's going to change. So make sure you check out the Lexus video at the end of this one. All will be explaining that video, all the reasons and things like that. So it's not in the top 30, this car, which is surprising because it really should be. If I'm brutally honest, this is a car that I would expect to do well here. I think the fact it's Godzilla, essentially, you know, power down the straights. It's down in P34. Just struggles. It struggles on the handling sections. Going up the mountain, it really struggled. You know, you think about it. We've probably lost a second on the mountain and everything else is just 1/10 here or there. It really does struggle in terms of handling this car. It really does. Right, we go to the fuel test now then. So on the left-hand side, we've got automatic driving. So automatic transmission, fuel map 1, fuel map 3. So if you're an automatic driver, focus on that side. On the right side is where you really fuel save, okay, by half shifting. So we've got that top right, and then fuel map 3 and a half shift down in the bottom right, and that's really where we're trying to maximize the fuel, where you're struggling. We're measuring performance, of course, because If you half shift, you're going to impact performance, and we're looking at how well it fuel saves and the performance. Now, top left gets there first. Of course it does. 58%. We said we have to rev the nuts out of this car. It gets to the line at that point. What is next in terms of finishing? Looks like the top right there, half shift, just gets ahead of the fuel map 3 there. 65%. So it saved quite a bit of fuel compared to the fuel map 3 and also fuel map 1 there. So half shift can work in that regard. The fuel map 3 finishes next, 64%. So it's only 1% difference. So it doesn't save that much, actually, in the grand scheme of it. And it gets there at a similar time. So this could be a car for automatic drivers. And bottom right there finishes on 72%, which I think is quite high from memory in terms of fuel. So it does feel like a fuel saver. It's just how well does it impact performance, which is the critical part of this. It's not in the top 10 there. I imagine if we did 1,000 meters rather than 2,000 meters, it very much would be in the top 10, this car. It feels absolutely blistering in that first 1,000 meters. So P16 actually in the end, not too shabby at all. 58% fuel is the highest there. So it's not really a guzzler. It sips its fuel like a cup of tea, to be honest with you. And we all love a good cup of tea. So yeah, not too shabby at all as we get towards the bottom end of the grid now. 58% there for the Porsche 911. So it's quicker than that. We've got 60 there for the McLaren 650S. And again, we are missing one car at the bottom. But, when it's at the bottom, we're not too worried about that. In the future, some of these tables are actually getting updated with more information as well. But, of course, P41 to P50 will also be in here. So do bear with me with that one. The half shift next. So, of course, this is where you save the most fuel by half shifting. We know this. We just saw that. Saved 65% versus 64% and got there a little bit quicker as well. It's not in the top 20, though. Remember, it was P16 in maximum RPM. So you can see here, it really does suffer with a short shift. In fact, it's not even in the top 30. That's a big, big impact to the car. So it really needs to rev the nuts out of this car to get the maximum out of this car. P31 in the end. Really, really, really big drop there. So it drops 15 places in the end in terms of all the cars around it. In terms of fuel saved, again, it's done pretty well there. It's pretty much up there, to be honest with you. Now, automatic fuel map 3. Look at this. It's in the top 10. 64% as well, so it's pretty much banged on joint leader at there as well. So this is an automatic car to be driven if it's a fuel saving race. It's very much up there, but of course, the handling side, you got to think about that as well. But in terms of outright fuel performance, it's very good at fuel saving on fuel map 3. Very interesting indeed. Remember, it's P31 on half shift, P9 I think it was on the automatic fuel map 3. Really impressive indeed. As we get towards the bottom end, look at that Suzuki. It just drinks all the fuel, that Suzuki, but it just revved to like 14,000 or something balmy. Right, let's go to the final test. And this is emergency fuel saving, not in the top 10 this time. Remember, P9, P16 for the full revs in terms of where it's sat on the leaderboard. Is it in the top 20 then? Is the first question. No, it's not. But it is towards the bottom end then. So yeah, you don't really want to use this car at all if you're a manual driver and trying to save fuel. Automatic fuel map 3. Does the job for you. In fact, it's P29 in the end, so it does gain a little bit. 72% fuel, very much up there in terms of total fuel still left, which is also critical and something to think about if it's an extreme fuel saving race. About 72% is very rare. You've just got the odd exception there. The Lexus, 74. Pretty good going, to be honest with you. But that is going to be it in terms of the fuel test. Hopefully that's of help to you. What we are going to do now is jump to the tyre test. So the tyre test, when we get to it, there we go, there's the flag, is essentially a test round Sardinia layout C in reverse. And what we're doing here, we're going to keep lapping until the tyre runs out. And then we add up all the laps. It's as simple as that, really. Yes, it's got human interaction in there, so braking becomes an issue, steering becomes an issue, and this test can vary on that basis. But even so, I try my best to be consistent. And one thing to note is on the right-hand side there, you're noticing 53-second laps. It loses a lot of pace very quickly. And again, I think it's to do with the wheelie issue. It's really weird to say a wheelie issue in this car. But what happens is that obviously as tyre wear goes down, the grip reduces. But if the front end's lifting up so much, then the grip's even more reduced. So significantly, it's just impacted by this whole front end lifting so much because of the acceleration. And you can see there, we got to lap 5, which is the average, but there was some slow lap time. So it's going to look a little bit higher than normal on the leaderboard, I would say. Whereabouts does it sit? It hasn't made the top 10, so it's not that good on tyres. But even so, on times, it was 53-second laps. That's literally the slowest I think we've seen with tyre wear. P20 in the end then, in terms of that. Yeah, it's not a good car. Not a good car for tyre wear. Not a good car for handling. It's just got too much power. And yeah, the weight just shifts. It's just weird. It needs to reduce power and reduce weight, this car, in my opinion. It really does, because it's just at a loss at the moment. It's not a car I would recommend at all, looking at all those tests we've done as an overall package. We are going to see where it sits in the summary and overall, of course. But first, we're going to have the top speed. And where does it sit in terms of the top speed test? Right, okay, here we go then. So it's not in the top 10. I can't even remember what the speed was at Bathurst. Bathurst is where we do look at that speed. Of course, at the new high-speed track, which is going to be the Sardinia Layout A, we will be able to get the speed there as well. It's a long back straight, and I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to be looking at it. Or alternatively, it could be the end of the start-finish straight. I've not fully decided that one yet. Okay, P30 then, and it's still not there. 169 now. Oh yeah, it was 168, I think, wasn't it? So it's going to be on the next page, hopefully. Or not at all. Let's have a look. Yep, very much near the bottom. Very much near the bottom. Essentially 1 mile an hour above the very bottom there. So it is not fast in a straight line. It's still with its newer counterpart there, the 18 car. It's in the exact same place. So interesting to see. The 18's just got better handling. In summary then, the 18 car, P10. Where does the 13 car sit? And again, this for me is one of those cars which I'm not too bothered if it's nerfed compared to its newer version, because it's completely like the same car. Same name, just different year model. That's all it is. And, you know, I don't miss this car, if that makes any sense. Still hold a soft spot for it because of GT Academy, but I don't miss this car. It's not in the top 30, so it's very much at the bottom end here. Let's see how far towards the bottom end it is. P37. Ooh. Yeah, that's nasty, that one. It's very much down near the bottom, down in the dumps there of Group 3. So it's a car that you will hardly ever see, in my opinion, unless it's an extreme circumstance. Unfortunately, folks, that is going to be it for this car profile. If the Group 3 car you haven't seen tested, well, if your favorite car hasn't been tested yet and you want to see it and it's in Group 3, let me know in the comments. We are starting Group 4 as well, so do keep an eye out for that. That's going to be it for me, though, folks. A big thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very, very, very soon. And make sure you check out GT Amiga and Fanatec. They're listed right there, as well as 2 videos. Thanks once again, and I will see you in another video or live stream again very soon.